Thank you very much. We have an audience here in seated and a lot of people hooking up to us across the world from North America, Latin America, Asia, Europe, and Australia. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have a regular host on this program. He's an accomplished chest physician. He's the president and founder of the Spokesman Communication Ministry, a senior pastor of the Sanctuary of Hope Church. He's, of course, a global governor of the American College of Chest Physicians, a past president of Nigeria Thoracic Society. He's, of course, currently the editor-in-chief of the West Africa Journal of Medicine. I want to say that we are really privileged to have a dynamic man of God. Apart from all the secular leadership positions he has held in the past, he's known the Lord for about half a century now. And I can tell you, he's an internationally recognized speaker in conventions, in conferences. He has also spoken at a global meeting of the UN before now in 2004. So he has a wealth of experience to bring to the bear. Thank you very much, sir. You are welcome. We're happy to have you, sir. God bless you, sir, for your time. Thank you very much, sir. Here with us, as part of those who will be asking questions today, is by my right-hand side, is a dynamic woman of God, a minister of the gospel, and also a consultant pediatrician. Let's put our hands together for her. Thank you for coming. Pastor Kemi Taiwo. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, just opposite me is another dynamic pastor and a man of God. He's a lecturer in the Obafemi Awolowo University. He's in the Department of Adult Education and Lifelong Learning. The person of Dr. Paul Akpomuje. You're welcome. Beside him is also another dynamic woman of God who is also doing a lot in the secular domain. She's the senior registrar in respiratory medicine. She's the person of Dr. Mrs. Nikki Erhabor. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
And I am Pastor Dennis Imafidon, the proprietor and a businessman. Thank you very much for joining us. We are going to be looking at questions. In the incoming period, we shall start the International Leadership Conference. And that, of course, will start tomorrow. This is a regular program, an annual program of the Spokesman Communication Ministry. And this time, we have the Greg Erhabor Leadership Training Institute fully involved. So with this weight of knowledge, bringing it to bear in this dispensation, we discovered that there is a lot of crisis now. Leaders are having difficulty leading, and people are redefining leadership in these times of crisis. What do you have to say when it comes to leadership? What exactly is leadership as it is now?
Well, I want to say that thank you so much for this meeting today. And someone once said that everything in this world stands and falls on leadership. Everything in this world. In fact, people say that if you look at the whole of United States, you can actually say that the United States is what it is because of a few handful of leaders who has influenced the nation. Anyone who reads the Bible will recognize that the influence of men in the Bible has been the driving force of nations. And so leadership is the main thing that takes people every day. I look at one word that was used as leadership. The word is called lode. And it's a word that is used for those who are involved in the Vikings raidings in the past. And the lode is derived from the word lodestone, which means the person who handles the crude compass. Now, the person who handles the crude compass is the one that knows the direction. So a leader is a person who knows the direction. Is a person who knows the direction and mobilizes people, motivates people, mentors people towards a beneficial end and a beneficial goal.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a wonderful one. Mobilize these people. I know that your ministry, Spokesman Communication Ministry, has mission statement, vision statement, and core values. This is a bit new to some denominations. They just say we preach Christ and that's it. How come you have a mission statement in the church organization?
Now, the truth about it is that you can't really say you are leading any institution without a definite mission. A mission is why you exist. It is what propels you. It is what drives you. It is what aligns you to certain things that is important. Jesus Christ came with a mission statement when he said, the Son of Man came to seek and to save that we are lost. Simple mission statement. One of the great leadership experts of our time, Peter Drucker, said that your mission statement should be so simple that you can write it on a t-shirt. So a mission statement tells us where you are going. Now for our ministry, our mission statement is we are called to communicate divine truth with an accent of hope, with an accent of love, and bring hope to our generation. The second one is that we are committed to the pursuit of excellence in all that pertains to life and godliness through the agencies of God's word and of the Spirit. And the third one is similar. We glorify God in all we say and do. Values are what you live for. Now, you can have a good mission, but your values may not be good. Hitler had a great mission to lead the world, to make Germany great, but his values were wrong. Communism had a great mission of making sure everyone has equal rights, but the values were wrong. So a great leader is not only going to think about the end, he's going to be thinking about the means to an end. On the other hand, your vision is when you have, it is the completion of your dream. Your vision is where you are heading to. Your mission is what you are doing. Your values is what you live by. And your vision is the terminal point of how the world will look like when you have effectively executed your mission.
Wow, thank you so much, sir, for that insightful response. Thank you so much. Sir, I am just interested in what you have just said. Does that mean that as an individual, I should have a personal mission statement?
The truth about it is that a sheep without a rudder is a sheep that has no destination. Every single person on this earth, whether he likes it or not, has a mission. But more than that, when you write your mission statement, it drives your life. Now, if you belong to an organization that has a great mission statement, you don't even need to write your own mission statement. The mission statement of that organization, if there's alliance with you and that institution, that becomes your mission statement. It allows you, it drives you, it guides you. For example, if I say my mission statement is excellence, everything I do, I pursue excellence. If I say that my mission is to glorify God, everything I do not think about myself, I think about the glory of God. You just imagine a man who has no mission statement. You just imagine a human being who lives through this world without a direction. So a mission statement is the sine qua non of greatness.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, please, just as a follow-up to that question, I'm wondering, how do I develop a mission statement? Do I just copy something someone else has designed for himself?
I think the very first thing for you to develop a mission statement is for you to come to terms of who you are. To realize that, one, you were created by a great God. And this great God created you for a purpose on this earth. And as the great Socrates says, one of the most important things in this life is to know who you are and to know the reason of your existence. Now, such self-realization, internal, probing into who your life is, helps you to unravel your identity. And through it, you're able to come up with certain uniqueness about yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a mission statement that is different from everyone. Sometimes you can be in a group, like most of us in our own church, we stay together. We are in a group. We share the same values. We share the same mission. And one person can have a mega vision or a macro vision, and every one of us can align to that vision and adopt it as long as it aligns with our own internal value system and our drives in life.
Thank you very much. I've been wowed by all the answers I've gotten from you, sir. And it just occurred to me, you mentioned self-actualization, and I noticed that one of the topics you're taking during the International Leadership Conference is dreaming your way to greatness. I know that in the last century, there was this great book by Jim Collins that talked about from good to great. And I'm just wondering, what do you have in mind when you talk about people dreaming their way to greatness? How can we as leaders become great?
Well, since you mentioned Jim Collins wrote a book on good to great. Actually, I was in a meeting in which Jim Collins spoke, and that was in Chicago. It was a meeting of the American College of Church Physicians, and I was really enthused by what he said. Now, the book, I've read the book several years ago and several times then, but there are three important big lessons that, there are many more, but three that have always stuck to me. One of them was Jim Collins defined what he called the level 5 leaders as contrasted from the level 4 leaders. Prior to that time, Jim Collins believed that people think that leaders have a goal or leaders have a mission and then they pursue the mission. But Jim Collins said that first of all, you must have a great leader before a great mission. Now, somebody who need just say, well, I want to lead the people because I have ideas, or I want to lead the people because I want to clothe the world because I've discovered new ways of clothing the world. Jim Collins says, first of all, get the right person to lead the boss, then the mission. Prior to that time, people look at mission, then leaders. So if now you now find out that the great establishment, not just the good establishment, you have people who are great leaders, men who have the quality of leadership. Now, if you make somebody who's not a great leader and give him a great idea, he destroys it. If somebody who's not a great leader, you give him a great mission, he handles it in a bizarre manner. So the first thing he mentioned was, one of the things he mentioned was the level 4 leader. Then the second, level 5 leader. The second thing I noticed about him was that he mentioned 3 things that will help you to discover your greatness. He said, number 1, what you are deeply passionate about. That you will find what you are deeply passionate about. Passion drives progress. Not just what you can go by with. Then now second, he says, what are the things, what can you be the best in the world? You know, the world has no place for mediocrity. The world has no place for duplicates. The world has no place for imitation. The world goes for the best. He said, find the things you can be the best in the world. Then he now said, thirdly, what drives your economic engine? What are the things that drives you economically? So there are 3 things. He said, 1, what you are deeply passionate about. Number 2, what you can be the best in the world. And the third thing, what drives your economic engine. Now, the third and final lesson I learned from Jim Collins is that he said when he now studied the good and great leaders, the good leaders compared to the great leaders, he noticed one thing about the difference between the great leaders and the good leaders is modesty. That the great leader is humble. He hardly carries airs. That he is a man of humble character. And he made an illustration. He said, when things happen in the company, A great leader will say, look outside and see all the cars that are parked. My people made it great. And he said, when things get wrong in the company, the great leader will look at the mirror and say, I'm the one. And he now found out that, unlike what people thought, that the great leader is the one that carries the airs, that looks important, that is number one, that tries to override everyone, but that the great leader is humble, is modest, he's hardly seen, but from where he is, he moves the world. And the question you now asked, how can we dream? The important thing is to look at the goals that we want to achieve, to look at the ideals we want to achieve. Leadership is not about you, it's about how you influence others. Leadership is not about position, it's about how much your life makes others better. Leadership is not about your name, it's about whether you are an institutional thinker and you are making sure that those you lead are benefited by what you do.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I want to quickly say that if I didn't know you very well, maybe I have been following you on social media and the like, I would have thought you were a professor of leadership. Because for the past 10 years that I have been listening to your sermons and your talks, it's always been on leadership. Interestingly, you're a professor of medicine who has done so well in leadership. Sir,
Thank you.
the theme of this year's International Leadership Conference that the church is organizing is Leading and Living in Times of Crisis. I want to take us to your book, one of your books that I have been reading. I've also had the privilege of giving this book to some professors in Germany when I went for a course, and they were really glad I gave them this book, Balancing Life and Work, page 105.
Thank you so much.
You
10. Let me go
Ye-
through.
yes.
105.
105. In that book, you quoted Shakespeare, and I know you have always read Shakespeare's work, so I'm not surprised I see this here. Page 105, you quoted Shakespeare, and I think your quote here is very apt for this time that we are in. He said, there is a tide in the affairs of men. That's Shakespeare talking.
Yes.
Which, taken at the flood, leads unto fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. So following that quote of Shakespeare that you put there, quoting Brutus in Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, you made a statement. You said, I believe there is a tide, following from that, I believe there is a tide in the phases of our lives, which if taken, will not only lead to our fortune, but unto prosperity, influence, significant success, and the like. So I want to think that this tide fits this current time that we are in. How, from what you have said, how is this current crisis going to lead to people's fortune and prosperity? Because you are saying if we focus on this tide, we will lead to fortune. So please shed light on
I
this.
can see that the literature in you has erupted. You see, the truth about it is that I've always said that life has no dress rehearsals. And that if the world gives you a raw material, or if God gives you a raw material, you make a synthesized product out of it. If God gives you a lemon, you made a lemonade. You see, situations are opportunities that bring the best in you or bring the worst in you. I've always said that crisis periods make great men greater and make weak men weaker. So what I'm saying is this: we are locked down. We are all putting on face masks. We are social distancing. There is economic downturn. Many have lost their job. Many are even sick. Some have lost families. But in the midst of this chaotic situation, there could be a guiding light. You can get inspiration. You can have a paradigm thinking. You can ask yourself a simple question: how best can I make out of this crisis into something great? How best can I turn this situation into something wonderful? I believe that, as the Englishman says, necessity is the mother of invention. I believe that God, in his own goodness, kept us on this earth, not to be apologetic about creation, but he created on this world to recreate this world, to reinvent this world, and to make the best of this world. God has given every single one of us intuitive power, creative power, spiritual force, spiritual ability, that we can make the best out of every situation in our life. So what I'm saying that, don't sit and wait for the virus to disappear. Don't sit and say until the vaccine comes. Don't sit and say until the lockdown goes. Look around you. Look inside you. Look above you. Get inspiration and make the best of the day.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to quickly seize this moment to say that the International Leadership Conference 2020 will be a very powerful program. And we should actually take time to follow up all the sessions. On Tuesday by 4:30, we shall have, the powerful force behind every successful leader. It is important for us not to miss that Tuesday, 4:30. Then on Wednesday in the morning, we shall have our pastor speak to us, Dreaming Your Way to Greatness. In the evening, it will be how to maximize your life in times of crisis. Then on Thursday morning, we shall have a master class on leadership. I feel very strongly that if you are not going to hook up online and you are not going to be available for this meeting, then you would have missed a lot. Sincerely, make our time to be available. On Friday, we shall also have a master class on leadership focusing on health. And of course, our pastor will be coming up with a powerful word. On Saturday, too, by 10 a.m., we shall have, another session addressing homes, secular leadership, addressing marriages, addressing what we need to do or know in this time of crisis. Then on Sunday, we shall be considering from crisis to celebration. So it's a must watch or a must attend meeting for everyone. So let's make plans, let's create watch party, and let's be available. I'm sure Pastor Kemitawe has another question for our pastor now.
Oh, yes, I do. Thank you so much, sir, for the very insightful responses you've given us today. Sir, when a Christian takes up a leadership position, there's so much excitement and expectation, that something dramatic will happen, that things will change for the better, that there'll be so much progress, and the people will be happy at having such a Christian in office. But unfortunately, many times we have been disappointed, sir. We have had Christians in office and they have really not performed, so to speak, up to expectation. So I'm wondering, sir, why is it like this?
Well, let me start with saying this question. The fact that you are a Christian does not necessarily qualify you for leadership. You cannot say because you are a Christian professor, so you must be a vice chancellor. You cannot say because you are a Christian citizen, then you must be a governor. God has given all of us different gifts and different abilities. You must find out whether one of your abilities and your gift is leadership. And if it is not, you can support others. You don't have to be at the helm of affairs. Now, secondly, you don't go to leadership without a plan. Leadership is a project. Leadership is a mission. And if you are going to take any leadership position, you must have a plan. Every now and then when I come to church on a Sunday morning or a Tuesday or Thursday, I have a plan. My leaders have a plan. We don't just say we are called of God and we start performing. We have a plan which we have, which we initiated from sharing with ourselves and praying in the Spirit. Then thirdly, you don't take leadership position until you are prepared. You must be prepared for leadership. The Boy Scout tells us about preparation. You see, and The great Abraham Lincoln says, I will prepare myself, and when my time comes, I will be ready. Many people don't get themselves prepared for leadership. Take a man like the great president of America, one of the great presidents of America, Kennedy. The man was said to be the fastest reader in the whole world before he took presidency. Jimmy Carter, before he took the presidency, he was reading 5 books a week. Most of them have gulfed about 1,000 books. Some people take leadership position that they've not read. They've not prepared themselves. They've not prepared their family. They just rose to the position. And so if you don't get yourself prepared, you can't know. Then you must understand the political milieu in which you are leading. You don't just say you want to go and lead without understanding the ethos of the people and without understanding the cultural environment in which your leadership should be situated. So many people don't understand the environment, the community. Then you must also understand your timing. Those are very important. Then, most importantly, in leadership, there are counter forces. As a Christian, you're going to be fighting with forces that are not human. And so you must also be spiritually fortified to be able to deal with them spiritually. So it is not just say, I'm a Christian, I want to aspire to position. You must do your homework. You must do your preparation. And you must be sure that God has called you to that position. I tell people that ambition is not the issue. You have to have a sense of calling. That you have to, calling is being summoned by God, not just ambition. There are many things I can do, but must I do them? There are many things I feel I have an ability to do, but has God called me to do it? There are many things that I want to do, but is it the time for me to do it? There are many things I should do. Must I be doing it for this group of people? These are questions every leader must take time to do. They must do deep introspective thinking before they go out to express themselves in the public. Without that, failure is not when you took the leadership. Failure starts long before you took the leadership.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm very grateful for that. As a follow-up question, does that mean leadership is not for everyone?
Yes. Leadership, in a sense, is for everyone. Everybody should be a leader. But there are positional things that is not for everyone. You know, we all have different traits. We all have different abilities. And some of us are good at motivating others. Some are good, some are inspire others. Others are charismatic. Some are just good managers. You give them something to manage, they manage it properly, but they cannot inspire. They cannot motivate others. I always tell people that before you aspire for leadership, what is your track record? You know, what is your track record? He who has not been able to manage a group of 3, how can you entrust him to manage a group of 50? And then how can you entrust him to manage a group of 100 people? He whose training and upbringing has all been ethnocentric. He knows nothing but his own people, their voices, and their way of behavior. How can you entrust him to rule in a multicultural environment? He who have never gone out of the world to have an international flair, how can you give him a job in the United Nations?
Thank you so much for that. I was enthralled. I was wondering, are we still here? Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. You mentioned that in leadership there will be counter forces. And I was just wondering, what's the difference? Is there a difference between secular leadership and coping in secular leadership and then the Jesus kind of leadership? You know, as a Christian, is there a way we can do it better than those in the world? What exactly is the difference between...
You see, when Jesus came into the world, he had an experience with his disciples. He heard that they were musing among themselves for who would be the greatest. And notice that the people who were musing and feeling who would be the greatest were people who were very intimate with him. Yeah? John, James, and their mother called them and said, look, when it comes to your kingdom, let my children be on the right and the left. And then Jesus said, well, it is not for me. You know, he asked them, are you going to be baptized with the baptism I can be baptized with? Or are you going to, what do you call it, go through the sufferings I'm going through? They said, yes. He said, okay. Even if you are going to do that, but it's not for me to determine who will be on your right, on the left. Then he now quickly gave a lesson in leadership, which I consider the greatest lesson in leadership the world has ever said. He said, in the world system, those who are leaders lord it over the people. Everybody called them Lord, big man, great man, master. He said, but in the kingdom, that is not so. That he that must be the greatest must be your servant. And that he that must be your master must serve others. So Jesus Christ gave an inverted pyramid. That leadership is the man at the base is the man at the top. And that the man at the top is the man at the base. He said that leadership is propelled by humility. And leadership is exemplified by servanthood. And leadership is demonstrated by reaching out to others. Now, so every Christian leader, whether he leads in a secular establishment or he leads in a sacred establishment, he goes with a servant heart. He doesn't go to Lord, he goes to serve. He doesn't go to make a name for himself. He goes to help the people. And Jesus Christ, before he died, he exemplified it by washing his apostles' feet. He said, if I, your Lord and your Master, will wash your feet, then what else? And so, for me, I lead in a church, which I'm a pastor. I see myself as a servant of the people. I lead in the secular as a professor and a consultant. I see myself as serving my residents, serving my patients, and serving my colleagues. I lead in many international fora. I don't see myself as Lord. I want to see myself as serving people. And so my effectiveness as a leader is not so much how much honors I receive, but how my life has brought honors to those I lead.
Thank you very much, sir, for that response. In fact, you answered the question I wanted to ask. But because I want further clarity on this, because, I mean, I don't know how people out there will see this. It's something I have seen. For example, when the church was building the diagnostic center, I saw Mommy, that is your wife, and I also saw you participating in carrying cement and block, trying to be part of the building, not just telling people go and carry block. I saw leaders in this church doing this, and several times you have talked about how you have cleaned toilets, how you have cleaned the floor, even in the church, and there are people to do this. So, sir, it's becoming a bit, you have said it, that it's like inversion. Jesus Christ inverted this. But let's relate this to followership. Because I still think there is a major gap here, that there is not sufficient followership in terms of effective leadership. How do you think the Nigerian nation, for example, how do you think the citizens can be better followers? And how do you think people in the church of God, in the churches, can be better followers for effective leadership?
Yeah, let me first of all tell you that I can tell you as a physician that the people who really enjoy this life, who will really go to bed and sleep and wake up happy, are not those that lord it over people, are not those that have houses all over the world, are not those that ride on big cars. They are those who are gentle and meek. Jesus said, I give you a simple formula to have rest, to have a good night's sleep. I sleep very heavily in the night. I work a lot, but when I sleep, I sleep. In fact, in most cases, I would think I'm already in heaven. And Jesus gave us a very simple formula. He said, learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest to your soul. He told Martha, he says, thou art troubled about several things, but one thing is needful. And what was Mary doing? Mary was sitting down, resting at the feet of Jesus. In the midst of the storms, when people were going on, Jesus was asleep. You see, why people have a lot of trouble? Because they have a lot of cares. Their life is built on greed rather than on contentment. Their life is built on what they can grab rather than thanking God with gratitude for what they have. Their life is built on the next dollar rather than enjoying what they possess. And so leadership itself, whether you wash chairs, whether you carry mold block, whether you wash toilet, that is the true life. That is what makes life really enjoyable. It's not when somebody washes your toilet, though there are positional stratification. When you are very busy, somebody can help you do that. But not because the person who is washing toilet is inferior to the person who is not washing toilet. And I can tell you what joy you have when you sweep the floor. You see, it was Martin Luther King, paraphrase, that said it. He said, greatness is sweeping the floor the way Michelangelo did his masterpiece of art. It's not the masterpiece of art, it's even sweeping the floor. And there was a case of a man who was in service master, and it said this important statement. He said, when you want to come and work as a CEO in service master, I don't know if it's so, you are told to go and work in the lowest cadre, clean the floor for a period of few months, so that you can partake, you can go through the motion. And I consider it also the joy of getting involved with people at the lowest cadre of work. So leadership is not sitting down for others to serve you. Leadership is really serving others. And I say this, in fact, to all of us who are leaders, is followership. Because we have a model, and that is Christ. We are imitating him. We are following him. You know, that is who we are. And if you are not a good follower, you cannot be a good leader. And that's why Jesus said, if you are not faithful in that which is little, who would entrust you with that which is much? If you are not faithful in that which is others, you know, sometimes people come to me and tell me, I want to go and form a church. I want to go and start an establishment. I said, have you been faithful? You are given an activity group. You are given some little things to do. Have you proved faithful? Have you increased the number? Have you mobilized others? And when you are not faithful, I am almost too sure you will not succeed. Because if you have not learned to be faithful in little things, and you want to position yourself for big things, you are rather positioning yourself for failure. So, in a sense, a leader is following, and a follower is leading. It's a vicious circle. We follow because we lead, and we lead because we are following.
Yeah, Prof, thank you very much for that amazing response. But Prof, I don't know if you can help us provide light to this issue.
Yeah.
In this country, in our society, in this context, you will see leaders, people carry their briefcases, people hold their phones. If they carry books, you see people rush after them. But when these leaders go abroad, when they travel out of this context into other climes, they are alone. They carry their briefcases themselves. So it's looking like there is an entitlement mentality about leadership here in this context. I don't know if there is something you have to say about this.
The issue is not carrying your book or carrying your bag or carrying your phone. Sometimes the lesser things around the leader, because leadership is about thinking at a higher level. I always believe that great leaders initiate, they innovate, and they need all the space to do the great thinking. So it is not carrying your bag or carrying your phone that makes you either proud, but it is the way you think. And if you now say, look, carry my bag, because you are my bag carrier, you know, and I'm somewhere high, that's a problem. It's not your bag carrier that has the problem, or you that have the problem. But someone helping you to carry your bag or lessen the burden is not important. Well, regarding what people do outside this country, that in the world, you see, most of us grew up in a feudalistic system, a monarchical system, in which there are some of us even grew up in a caste system. You know, in most of our environment, people degrade others. There's a stratification. But in the Western world, things are democratic. No matter how big you are, you can be the president of a nation today and be in prison tomorrow. You know, everyone is considered equal. You know, this is what Americans say. We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And the greatest definition of democracy is what? The government of the people, by the people, and what? For the people. And so the leader is not Lord over the people, he's first among his peers.
This is really, really wonderful, superb, excellent, fantastic. In fact, I believe very strongly that this leadership conference will be the best ever. Our pastor is very, very loaded. And I want every one of us listening to us to make sure we don't miss it. Pastor has given a tip of the iceberg on servant leadership. And that's a talk for Friday evening, 4:30 on Friday. Let's make sure we are here. One thing wonders me, and I'm still perplexed about how you are able to delve into literature, into management, into economics, and you're a professor of medicine. Because I first heard from you the law of Pareto, 80-20 efficiency. And I was wondering, this is not medical. I then heard about the Parkinson law of time. And I said, wow, this is wonderful. And then you're so versatile, and you're also a genius in medicine. You have won several awards too. You have written peer review, over 100 peer review. And how are you able to manage time with your family, combine it with church, and then we work? And you are still very sane in the midst of all this.
Well, first of all, I want to say that if there be anything that I've done, if there be anything you mentioned that is part of my achievement, sincerely speaking, I don't even know them. I have only one achievement, that I got to know the Lord Jesus Christ, and I gave my life to him. Inside me, I don't see myself as anything. In fact, when he called me Prof, I wish he could have called me Greg, because my name is not really Prof. My name is Gregory, and the other name is Efosa, Bini, which means the what do you call it? The word of God. You see, both, I know that in the secular terms, we call ourselves titles so as to be able to fit into the cultural milieu we are in. Now, people ask me that question all over the world when I speak. There's only one thing I do, and I can tell you truthfully. I set God first in my life. I do it every morning. Right from when I was young, I've always set God first. And I believe that if I put God first, then God will make everything to work together for my good. Simply put, if I acknowledge God in everything, then everything will work together for good. I don't expect everything to work together for good by my just saying it. I expect everything to work together for good by my acknowledging God. And I do it. Then secondly, I define my calling. Right from when I was young, I knew that God had called me to preach the gospel, to communicate God's word. But I also know that God also wanted me to do something secular, as the background in my profession. As when I knew that God called me, what I now did was to make sure I have enough opportunity to study. In fact, when I was in medical school, I read more secular books than medicine. I had over 1,000 books as a medical student.
1,000 books?
Yes, 1,000 books. And that affected even my medical career, because I was more immersed in literature. I read a lot of books. I read the Bible. I read diverse literature, because I knew that I'm going to be speaking to a world of diversity. And I cannot really reach out to that world except I understand something about that world. My philosophy is know something about everything and everything about something. Now, when it comes to managing my time, I've always told people that the greatest thing I do is I commit my days to the Lord. First of all, I start the day with the Lord. I don't greet anybody in the morning till I've prayed. I don't eat any food till I've read the Bible. Then, in a blank sheet, I write the things I'm going to do that day. I list them in the presence of God. Then I start with number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And I noticed over the years, if I keep conscientiously to those ones, even if I do only 20% of that day's list, I would have accomplished 80% according to Pareto law. Then again, I also believe that as many as are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God. I believe what the Bible says, the wind bloweth where it listed, we hear the voice, we don't know whether it cometh from or whether it goeth, so is every man that is led by the Spirit. I believe that God owns me. I don't strive to be famous. I don't strive to be popular. I don't strive to be great. I strive to be a child of God. I want to do what will please God. I want to be known not for all these things you have mentioned. I want to be known for someone who pursued God. And I believe that by pursuing God, I pursue everything. I believe that I would rather have 1,000 failures pursuing God than have a success that shakes the world and be out of God's plan. Then finally, I believe also that because God is going to draw me in my wind, I do not plan my life simultaneously. That is, at every time, I may not have a total balance. My life balances sequentially. So you may find out that at a particular time, the most prominent thing for me may just be my family. At another time, the most prominent thing for me may be my academic pursuit. But over time, looking at a span of a period of time, everything balances. But let me not tell you this. Let me not forget to tell you that in achieving a balance, you have to lose to win. All through my life, I've never been always a winner. I've failed. I've not succeeded in things. I have not been expected to attain to certain things. But I've always used failure as a schoolmaster for success. I believe in what Winston Churchill says, failure is not fatal, neither is it final. And so to me, failure is an impetus to get to my destination. So rather than bemoan my past, I move aggressively towards my destination.
Sorry, Prof, thank you very much. Just as a follow-up to that question, in your book also, Balancing Life and Work, just in case you're not familiar with this book, this is one of our pastor's classics. So please try and get this book. It's very rich. On page 97 is a follow-up to what you just said about balancing. Page 97, Balancing Life and Work. The inserts up there. You quoted, you made a statement that the key to building balance is in our lives is focusing our efforts on the things we have control over. Our circle of influence. So please, Prof, sir, help us shed light on this. What are these things we have control over?
Yes, I will attribute what you have read now to a man who is now dead now, Stephen Covey. Now, Stephen Covey wrote a book, not exactly the way he put it. He wrote a book on the habits of the most effective people. And Stephen Covey drew 3 circles. The first circle Stephen Covey drew is the circle of concerns. That there are several things in this life we are concerned about. You know, for example, you are concerned about the weather, you are concerned about your COVID, you are concerned about whether you have your next meal, you are concerned about your children or whether you have children, you are concerned about your marriage or whether you would even marry. So many concerns. But Stephen Covey said that these concerns, there are very few things you can influence. For example, I can't influence COVID now. I cannot influence the weather. I know a man who says he's a rainmaker, but in most cases he's going to study the climate before he gives his prediction. I cannot control other people's life, no matter how they are. They may do everything. So he now says, within the circle of concern, there's a circle of influence. The things you can influence. And he said, if you are going to have sanity, and if you are really going to be effective in this world, spend your time working on the things you can influence, rather on the things that you are concerned about. I think it's exactly what Jesus said. If Jesus Christ made it known to us that, who among you, by being worried can add a cubic to your height. So why are you worried about your height? How many of you worried about your hair? You cannot, though some of us can dye our hair from time to time, and those who dye their hair, we need to re-dye it again. You see, then Stephen Covey also now wrote a book, another book, a follow-up book to that, in which says, inside the circle of influence, there's also what they call the circle of focus. And that even though you can influence some things, it's not everything you can focus on. And that to be effective at any particular time, focus on something. Paul said, this one thing I do. Jesus Christ says, if your eye be single, then your whole body is full of light. There's a great film that was released in Hollywood some time ago, in which a man told somebody, greatness is one thing, one thing, one thing. So your area of focus is that one thing you can do. When I come to church on Sunday morning, I'm concerned about how the choir will sing. And our choir is one of the best as far as I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the person who's going to give the announcement. I do it very well. I'm concerned about whether everything is well done, but I can't do much about that. But I now know there is something that I must do something about, and that's the preaching. That's why I focus on that. By focusing, according to Stephen Covey, by focusing on your area of focus, you one day subsume your area of influence, and after that, you now dissolve your area of concern. You become an effective person.
Thank you so much, sir. That's really, really wonderful. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I am particularly interested in children, and from your previous response, it appeared that you were an unusual child. You know, for a child to read thousands of books at that tender age. Sir, in this generation, you know, I'm just wondering, how do we inculcate leadership skills into children? Because there's so much distraction. The children will rather spend time on the phone, would rather watch television than read a book. You know, how does one inculcate leadership skills?
I want to tell people that when a child is growing, the greatest influence to a child is the parent's example. A mother or a father who spends more time on the phone is going to see his child spending more time on the phone. A mother or a child who spends more time on television is going to see himself spending more time on television. Although we have a daily devotion in our house, and now that we are very busy, that we used to have it regularly, but now we do have it 3 times a week so that we can have more time for our own personal things. We used to do it every day before when my children were younger. And that's a good way of managing time too. And also because we must have daily devotion every day. I preach in church on Sunday morning. I say, Monday, no devotion. Let's all rest and let me plan the rest. So we have devotion Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Friday, I have a seminar at 8 o'clock on Zoom. I said it will not be proper for us to have a devotion. Let's have individual devotion. And on Saturday is a transitional period in which we Sabbath, personal rest, and plan. As everybody can have his own personal devotion then. And those 3 days are effective. So the best way to get your children to do well is by your showing them what they will do. My father was a railway worker. He went to St. Greg's, never went to university, but he believed in books. He encouraged us to read. When we finished school, he took us to the library. And so my father pushed me to read. I never tell my children to read, but all of them are consumers of read. So the best example to counteract the world is the parents to show that example. There used to be a man in my younger days from my native place who is a Baptist minister. He's always drunk. Always drunk. And then on Sunday morning before he preaches, he said, do what I say, but don't do what I do. Because people knew him in the community that he's a drunk. So in many cases, children are not going to worry about what you say. They are really going to be worried about what you do. A cane cannot inculcate discipline. It's a light you show to them that will show them the way.
Let's put our hands together. That was a very powerful one. In fact, I'm learning so much on how to also raise my children. We have a lot of questions for our pastor, but because of our time, so I know a lot of people online are also craving for an opportunity to ask questions. I want to reassure everyone, also member of this audience, that we're going to be taking some questions during the week. During the ACOM, we're going to have question and answer sessions on Wednesday, on Thursday evening, Friday evening, and even Saturday. So please, if you're online, you have a question, you can please send it to us. Your questions will be treated. We have a few minutes to go now, and I know Dr. Nikki has a very pressing question to ask. But before she comes up, there is this statement you made some time ago when you were giving us a talk, and you said we should police the policy. There's a policy in an organization, we should police it. It means we should give sufficient explanation so that the recipient will not feel hurt by it. And again, you also mentioned that if you work for an organization and there's an appreciation, coming from somebody outside, for that organization, you as a staff should not just take it in as if it's your personal remuneration. But this is a bit hard to enforce. I don't know, because in my company, I tried doing that, and my staff said, no, after doing a lot of work, parents are satisfied and they're happy, they come around, they say, okay, take this for the organization, and my staff said, oh, this is mine. I will not even let the director know about it. How do we then...
You see, one of the greatest example, integrity has various levels. Their behavioral integrity, their performance integrity, their internal integrity. But the greatest, to me, the greatest example of integrity is a person who does not steal people's hearts when he works on an institution. Everybody works for an institution generally because they want to make a name for themselves. They want to use the institution as a stepping stone. But great people, they don't even want to know where you live if you come and work for an institution. For example, let me give you an example. If a person is a leader in a church and people come for a meeting or a convention, he doesn't go inviting them to his house. He doesn't go taking their addresses and connecting with them. When these people came to that meeting for that institution, you are called to be a chairman of a program. You don't quickly line up your friends and give them contracts and then profile everything according to your own direction. Leadership is about owning the vision of the institution. It's about the sacred call to lift the institution and not necessarily to lift yourself. Leadership is not about affluence, it's about influence. It is not centrifugal. Yes, it is not centrifugal, it's centripetal. It's centered on it's centrifugal, it's outside, it's not centripetal. It is not an ostrich mentality. When you look inside, it's an outreach mentality. So what Paul said is that I desire to know nothing in you than him, Christ and him crucified. Look here, I am serving this institution. I'm the manager of this institution. I know a few days from now, I will start my own hospital. A few days from now, I will start my own school. I don't want to give an impression that I'm serving this institution and I'm being good to you so that I can deprive this institution of his client. So leadership is about sincerity. It's about transparency. It's about simplicity. And unfortunately, it is not a common thing. Somebody tells me that when you see a person who is very zealous an association, organization, it's because he's planning for his own. It's a difficult thing to swallow. But that's what makes it different. This person is there for the institution. You're not there because you want to be my friend. You see, let me tell you a story. A friend of mine said something happened some years ago. And he will never forget this story. I sent a lady in our church to go and give him something. The lady was traveling to somewhere, and they were going to pass through my friend's place. And I told him to give some things to my friend. Oh, then my friend looked at the lady. I was, thanking the lady and told the lady, oh, look, I want to take you out for a meal. He said, no. He said, please give me your name. He said, no. I mean, this is my friend. He's not going to date the girl. He said, give me my phone call. He said, no. So, sir, I was sent to drop this for you. By the time I start becoming your friend, by the time I start taking your address, I'm creating a lateral relationship, and which may not all go well in future. Then he gave the lady money. The lady said, no, sir. I have enough money to go for my next transport. My friend took me a phone call and called me that girl is a marvel. I said, that's a good principle. Some others have trained them. They will take the money, you know what I mean? And they will now show me the money. I said, sir, please, I saw your friend. I dropped the mail. I wouldn't have known this person in the world. I don't want him to stop being your friend because he now becomes my friend. What literal thieves do, they may be Christians, what literal thieves do is that they just steal people. And so the person is not more committed to the person who is head of that institution and committed to them. That's as evil as witchcraft. You return it. I don't know if the rule has changed. In America, when you are the president of America, you are not allowed to take any gift. I was reading the life history of Abraham Lincoln. In fact, I went to one of their museums. The gifts that Abraham Lincoln was given, yes, is still in the museum. Because you live totally to serve the organization. And let me tell you, by your doing that faithfully, I was in a local church. When I was going to start the church, I didn't take anybody with me. There was one person who followed me in that local church. If I brought him, in fact, I wasn't really keen on his coming, and he didn't even last. And when I was inaugurating the church, the pastor of my church came and said, everybody that has ever worked with him in life, I'm the best. Well, not that there's anything great about it, but I was taught rudimentary that you serve the master. You serve the leader. Why do you have to give me money? When all I am here for is for the leader. The leader made who I am. Why must I take the honor from the leader? Why must I create a parallel government from the leader? Why must I distract this person who has come to serve the leader by stealing the person's heart? Why must I give favor to this person? And the person will now say, what a good man he is. What a nice person he is. And they begins to compare me with the leader. You see, if in your establishment there are people that take time to make them realize that the little money they will get from trying to steal affection away from the leader will not go well for them. But by being loyal and committed, people will now say, look, this guy is different. This guy is great. This guy is wonderful. This guy is powerful. I have some from our white friends, and they told me that some years ago, some of my people wrote them. And my friends told me that, please, I should tell them to stop writing them. He told me clearly, tell them to stop writing me. I didn't have relationship with them, it's you. And if they have anything to say, they should go through you. And that is how organization gets disorganized, destabilized, and off. It's just like a man coming to a husband and a wife. And you begin to become friend to the wife. And then you now begin to make the wife realize that the husband is not good. You buy Rolex wristwatch for the wife. Why the husband has not even succeeded in buying him a slippers. And when the wife is talking, say, look at that man. Is that not a way of killing a marriage? And by doing so, you kill an institution.
Great. Wow, that's great. It's been wonderful, really wonderful hearing you, sir, today. And I believe this is just the tip of the iceberg, and we're having the International Leadership Conference this week. And I also know that on Saturday we're having the International Zoom Conference, which will be hosted by the Erhabor Leaders and Mentors Network United States. I just want us to tell our audience what should they expect in ILCON 2020.
Oh, thank you so much for that. This year's conference, which begins tomorrow, is entitled Living and Leading in Crisis Period. The goal of this conference is to inculcate in every one of us that although we are facing a pandemic, pandemic situation in the world, although the world is groaning and crying, we can grow and succeed. On Tuesday, we are going to start off with prayers. And people are going to pray because they believe God answers prayers. Those who are going to lead us in prayer have been selected specially, not to pray for themselves, but to pray for the world. And I'm going to be speaking on that day on prayer, the power behind great leaders. On Wednesday, we'll be looking at dreams and how you can get your dreams achieved in the early morning. And we'll be talking about addiction, all kinds of addiction, middle-age addiction, porn addiction, food addiction, sex addiction, drug addiction. And it's going to help the younger people to know how to succeed. And the elder people, there was a story of a 55-year-old man who raped about a 14-year-old girl. That's an addiction. He said he didn't know what got into him. And then we shall also be talking about peer pressure. Someone who has had an experience about the influence of peer pressure at all levels is going to bring his experience to bear. And from seasoned research he has done about the power of peer pressure. Then I will be talking about how you can make your dreams succeed. In the evening, we shall be taking some core leadership thoughts. And we shall be looking at how we can maximize your life in this pandemic situation. And it's going to be very useful for singles, how they can maximize their singles life. Then on Thursday, there will be no morning session, and it will be the evening. And then we shall be talking about various aspects of leadership. And I'll be looking at the cardinal principles of leadership and the team spirit. On Friday, we'll be looking at holistic health. We'll be looking at stress and how to win it. We're looking at how to get your physical health settled. And I'll be talking about servant leadership. On Saturday, we shall be talking about marriage, relationship. Lest I forget, also on Wednesday, we shall be talking about how you can get a spouse. And then we shall have an ex-VC talk to us about how you can be a Christian influence. And then a young businessman telling us about the 7 principles that has taken him and made him an entrepreneur. In the evening, we'll be connecting with the US group on a Zoom meeting, which will begin at 8 in the evening, and it will be wonderful. And on Sunday, there will be a celebration of the whole thing. Then on Monday, next Monday, we shall be wrapping it up with a Facebook Live, when we shall be looking at the whole program in summary. The good thing about this program is that a lot of things will be done online. So you can get there by Zoom, you can get through it by Mixler, you can get through by Facebook Live, you can get through by Periscope and YouTube. And so it is free. But you need to register with a minimum amount of 2,000 if you want to get the certification. And so, but there will be on site for a few people, about 150, and that will be those in the IFE environment. So everybody can participate. This is the first time. Mafida was the chairman of the advisory committee, leadership committee. This is the first time we are going full blast online. And I can tell you it's going to be a week of masterclass on leadership. And every evening we shall be praying for healing. Because we know that the world needs healing. Individuals need healing. And so it's something we need to look up to. And it's something no one can afford to miss.
Wow, wow, wow. This is really on point. Thank you very much, sir, for spending time with us and for answering our numerous questions. Like I said before, the questions online, we are going to be considering them during the EACOM. And if you have any more questions, please send them. We shall trash them during the International Leadership Conference. Thank you for joining. We'll meet you next time. But before we leave, our pastor will want to pour blessings on us, want to pray, and so we'll bring the meeting to an end. Thank you very much.
Now, my viewers, both on site here, can we clap for them? And then we also want to clap for the panelists here today. I want to clap for all our cameramen connecting us with Facebook, on Instagram, and so on. And then we want to also welcome all our audience all over the world. As a matter of fact, before I pray for you, I want to leave you with something that is so paramount in my life. I got to learn. There are two forces, not similar forces in this world, but two forces at play in this world. One is the forces of God trying to recruit people to goodness and righteousness. The other one is the forces of the devil trying to recruit people to evil. Now, no matter what you do, you have to align to one of these forces. You either have to align to the devil and live the life the devil wants. And that's what the devil wants, is that live a life without any rule, live a life without any control, live a life without any discipline, live a life without any God. The truth about it is that no matter how sophisticated that life is, the wisest man of this world tells us that that life seems right, but it ends in destruction. But then there's another life which is prepared by God. That life is for helpless people. It's for sinners like me. It's for graceless people. It's for fornicators, liars, adulterers, and thieves. In fact, it's for humanity that has sunken in. And that life is, come as you are. Come and I will make you a child of God. And to me, and that's what Christianity is telling me. Christianity is not looking for the good. It's not looking for the perfect. It's not looking for the ideal. God so made it that nature forms us. Education informs us. But God transforms us. So I want to say that if you are watching me today and you have not tasted of that transforming power of God through his son Jesus Christ, you can get it right now. Or you are watching me today and you have abandoned God because you think you have done evil. Sincerely speaking, you are the candidate that God's attention will be drawn to. Or maybe you have followed God before and you have been disappointed. I can tell you that the Christian race is not easy, but you will always have someone by you and someone you can fall onto. Why not make Jesus the Lord of your life? Why not look up to Christ in this mini crisis? Why not believe that God can turn your situation around? Why not cry for help? He's a present help in times of trouble. Our Heavenly Father, I thank you for all my listeners and viewers around the world. I pray for those who are sick today. May you grant them perfect healing. May you look upon them with favor and with kindness.
Amen.
I pray for those, my Father, who feel they are helpless and their life is totally destroyed. Lord, come and be the Lord of their life and navigate them through life. I pray for those who need help, physical help, spiritual help, marital help, economic life. Help them through in the name of Jesus. I especially pray your hands of healing. Through my prayer will touch those who are sick now in the name of Jesus. Pray your mercy will come and be upon your people. Bless them in your merciful hands and keep them from every evil. In Jesus' name. Friends, I look forward to seeing you in this leadership conference. You can go online. You can come to my blog page, gregerhaborblog.com. Or you can go to spokesman.com.org and get involved. We love you. I will join you again in the leadership program and on Monday on Facebook Live. I've always said this: God will never make a case against you. Never you make a case against yourself. Put your hope in God. God bless you.